These young dudes out here don't respect shit until you put the barrel in their ear and let the text spit. I just might catch a case on my next hit, remove their whole face on some special effect shit. So show respect, Drake, or I'ma have a flashback. Digging through the dresser like, fuck it, where my mask at?
Yeah, he has to go.
And what if he's a white crip? He's not going nowhere. I'm not going nowhere. I'm hanging with the blacks.
Then they just rush him. They'll rush him, and it creates a riot.
And it kicks off
because
a riot.
all his homies are gonna back him, and it creates a riot. Yeah,
right.
Ultimately.
So why do you think so much like anger is directed towards him? Because he wants to run with the black. I mean,
that's a good question.
Is he viewed as a race traitor pretty much? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Ultimately, he's viewed as that. But I mean, there's white Southerners, there's white Northerners. They aren't viewed as race traitors. So I don't really understand where it comes from.
Right.
I think it's just something to hate. It makes it. It's like it's looked at like fun for most people. Like. Right. We'll just do this, and when you got nothing to look forward to,
right,
that can be a little bit of fun. It's unfortunate. I never really agreed with that policy, but I've seen it happen, and even been involved on plenty of occasions where that's just the way the prison goes.
Right. And you made a good point. A lot of times, people in prison, especially on the higher yards, you know, the higher security yards, you know, the one is 1 yard, level 1 is the low security, minimum security. Level 2, level 3, and level 4. So on these level 4 yards where you have a lot of people with a lot of time, a lot of them who are not coming home, or some of them who not coming home where they think they're not, so they lose hope. Mm-hmm. And so they look to start trouble, they look to do shit to make excitement out of, right?
Oh, for sure. That's what the whole network of politics and everything thrives on, the ability to get away with something or even not get away and prove your status. Like, if you're never going home, the best thing to do is prove your status within a network of people, within a gang or whatever. Like that's the best thing that you could do.
So if you're never going home, pretty much basically, all you got is your penitentiary reputation.
Mm-hmm.
So once you lose that, you're nothing. So people who realize I'm never going home, so becoming somebody, becoming important where I'm down south and people are hearing my name in prisons 400 or 500 miles up north becomes important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It becomes everything, and the quest to just get a feather in your cap, just be someone who's important so that nobody else can fuck with you, becomes a 10-year, 20-year debacle for some people. They just thrive and make every effort towards that. So,
well, can you give us a story if you can, with maybe not mention the names if you don't want to? That's all up to you, about maybe seeing a white crip or a white blood removed from a yard or incident.
So actually, that was in Calipat. It happened on I want to say B yard. Nope, it was C Yard. So C Yard, there was a group of my homeboys that were there. A white crip got there. They rushed directly across the yard. They stabbed him like 6-7 times. A riot ensued. It was really bloody. Like, there was legitimately, I mean, it's only half the yard that's able to engage in that, but the other side of the fence cracks because there's a fence down the middle at building 2.
Can you take us through those steps a little bit more, like in detail? Okay, so the white crip hits the yard. So, okay, because of course now, a lot of times when he hits the yard initially, since he's white, it's not known he's a crip or a blood or whatever. So then,
but you see what cell they go to.
So right, so that's what I'm saying. So the problem that process works. So when he comes in initially, of course, the white people see a new white person coming in. Mm-hmm. So of course, they're gonna automatically assume that he runs with the whites.
Oh, for sure.
Then so somebody may holler out, "Hey, Wood," or something, and
along
then give us.
And usually he'll disregard, because in most cases they're already aware of what's happening. If they're on a level 4, they've been in for a little bit, or they're coming right from reception, but they've been braced on what's going to happen. So then kites start flying. They go from building to building. So a kite is a small handwritten note that starts flying and says, "Oh, we got a white crip over here." It goes to whoever is in control at that time, and they make the call.
Right. Okay.
Now the call is always, I'd say almost always, depending on what yard you're on, to move on this person.
Right.
So then you strategize when. And it's usually the first yard release where you're out with that person. You'll designate hitters. You'll designate people who are going to rush in, do the work, which is people who are going to stab him. And that's exactly what happened in this case. Is 2 hitters ran across and stabbed him. They knew that there would be a riot because of it, so everybody else rushed the second that other people rushed those 2 hitters. And that's exactly what happened. So
everybody pretty much comes out prepared to rock and roll, to get cracked.
For sure. Right. And whites are a minority in prison. Like, they legitimately have less numbers. So they will more often than not get mollywopped. So they have to bring weapons.
They have to bring the big
absolutely
power. And so so like you said, they automatically know, okay, we're up against it. Maybe it's only, let's just say for instance, it's 50 of us on this yard, but it's maybe 200 Crips alone. In a situation like this, the Bloods are going to get involved most of the times when it's a racial thing.
Absolutely.
So now they're not only dealing with the Crips, they're dealing with basically the whole population now. And so they know that.
Yeah, because for a white boy, he doesn't know the difference between
a Crip and
Blood, unless you're deeply involved and you've talked to people. And the same thing goes, like, black folk are going to run together on an issue like that. They're going to run together, absolutely.
Right. So basically, have you seen it often where Crips or white Bloods hang with blacks, and you guys have to basically get the guy off the yard?
Not as much as white Crips. There's been a lot more white Crips that I've seen, but I mean, it does happen. It's been less prevalent than other racial riots over smaller things, but I mean, every now and then you get stuck with a situation that shows up like that.
Right. Well, what's the difference what's the difference between a wood, a peckerwood, and a skinhead? You know.
So there's no difference between a wood and a peckerwood, and those are just prison labels that they put on them, right? Like a wood that they put on white boys.
Okay.
So white boys are called woods when they go in, or white men, depending on the era that you're in. Skinheads are actually a gang outside, and when they go in, they unite in a way similar to how other gangs do. Like, you know, we don't really beef with one another outside. Skinheads don't. Maybe occasionally, but inside, like, we're like, all right, we're skinheads. We have a higher level of discipline. We have a higher level of, racial education or whatever. We're willing to fight more. I mean, a wood is more likely to be a resident than a skinhead. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like someone who just went to prison and is not trying to get involved in anything.
So just basically a regular white guy doing his time
is a wood.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
And so, are you guys cool with them? I mean, or do you guys try to push like policy on them, or are you separate?
There was an era where they did do that, and then from the big homies, from the people up top, the Aryan Brotherhood, that was stopped at a certain point. They said you're not allowed to separate. You don't control anything. Skinheads don't control anything. So that was ultimately stopped. And now it's just all white people are white people, woods or white men.
Right. So okay, I know at some prisons there's been an alliance with the skinheads and the Southern Hispanics, and then at some prisons you guys will also get into it, right? So how does that work? I mean, is the alliance due to hatred of blacks, or
no? It's usually around money. Money usually, like we can earn money together, or drugs or whatever. Those are usually where the alliances are all built. Any alliance that was built between whites and Hispanics is built on the income, like the money that can come into the system. So it's not really built on a hatred of blacks. And you can find anyone on any yard and they're going to buy drugs from whoever they can get drugs from. They don't give a fuck what the color is. They don't give a fuck who it is.
Right.
It's not supposed to be that way in the books, like on the rules, but that's how it is.
So are you saying that, because I know that Hispanics are permitted from doing business with blacks.
Yeah.
So are whites, are they quote unquote not allowed to?
Not allowed to, but not a lot. It's loosely enforced.
Right. Because I know, I mean, when a person's a drug addict in prison, he's gonna get his dope from where he needs his dope from.
Yeah.
You know, and of course he'll try to be more sly about it, or more covert, I guess I should say, in dealing with the person. But at the end of the day, if I got the heroin and a white guy's a heroin addict,
that's where I'm going. If I want it, that's where I'm going. And so it's a lot less loosely enforced. There's structure, but it's not as structured as their system.
Right. And a lot of times I hear people on my YouTube channel, they'll ask, what race runs prison? And so in your opinion, does any particular race run the prison, or how does that? And I don't want to say what I say, because I don't want to influence your answer. So what race runs prison in your opinion?
That's a tough question. So my gut says cops are in prison because they create the network that makes all other things possible. They do that. The cops are in prison, and they make it possible for us to do what we do by ignoring or not ignoring certain things. But I mean, Southerners definitely got some sway in there. They definitely got a lot of sway. They have a lot more numbers.
Right, numbers. Right.
Numerically, they have numbers. So I would say cops run it, but Southerners are in a close second. Right.
Because I'll say, in my experience, I've never necessarily, and I kind of like didn't get involved in a whole lot of other people's politics, but I would never say I've seen any race trying to run it per se.
Yeah.
Each race is just trying to do what they do. They're trying to make their money. They're not trying to control the prison.
Yeah.
They may have enough numbers to if kick ass or if something happens, but I've never been around a race trying to run a prison. they're doing what they're trying to make their money. They're trying to get their cell phones in, their drugs in, or whatever. They're trying to be, like you said, trying to be comfortable.
They're just trying
not
to be
trying to.
comfortable as
And a lot of
possible.
people had that misconstrued. No race, in my opinion, is trying to take over the prison.
Yeah.
They're trying to, of course, they're
just trying to extend themselves as far as possible so that they can't be uprooted and shifted somewhere else. That's really what it is. So they get comfortable jobs that serve the population. They get comfortable positions with like people coming to visit them, whatever may be the case. It's all about comfort because prison is just an uncomfortable experience.
Right.
And it's designed, by design, it's meant to dishevel you. So they're just trying to take that little discomfort and turn it into something a little bit better.
Right.